Hi, I am so excited for this interview because I'm going to be introducing my brand strategist and brand designer, Hollie Ellis of Hollie Ellis Design. She is responsible for my new and beautiful brand, and she talks about how she started her business and how she overcame her struggles, because I went through the same struggles, and I'm sure a lot of startup entrepreneurs, especially women, go through that. Holly, I am so excited that you could spend some time talking about your business. And I'm so excited, especially to present you because you've been my brand designer. So I really wanted to kind of, pick your brain a little bit about, how you started your business and where it is right now, what were your struggles, etc.
I'm Hollie. I am a freelance graphic designer and I help female entrepreneurs with their branding, with graphic design solutions, so things like logo design, branding, print design, and digital design. And I kind of help them create and maintain a professional brand for their business. And how I got into the business, it's been a bit of a turbulent ride for me in terms of my business. So I originally started freelancing when I was 19 years old during the summer between my two degrees. And then I went back to do my final honours degree, and I actually got offered a job at the same time. So I did both at the same time. And I stayed in that job for 6 years before I was made redundant. And then when I was made redundant, I was looking at other jobs, but they needed you to be able to code, which I can't do. I'm not a coder, I'm a designer. So I knew I wanted to go freelance again. So I decided to freelance again. And because I just thought being redundant, that was the ideal opportunity for me to be able to do that. And then I actually ended up working in a job again. And I stayed in a job for, I think it was about 7 months. And then I quit the job and went freelance again. And then 4 years later, here I am.
Wow, what a ride. That is amazing. I mean, it was in you, I suppose, right from the beginning to be an entrepreneur. So you were kind of like, in two minds between whether should I stick with the security of a job, or then it didn't last. And I said, no, the free spirit kind of, pushed through, and you kind of started freelancing. In my discussions with you earlier, you did mention about why you quit your last job. Like there was some bullying and stuff like that. So could you discuss a little bit about that?
So basically what happened is I originally started freelancing for the company that I eventually interviewed and got the job for. And it was in packaging design, which isn't my area of expertise, but because I had a different skill set, they thought that was really good for them to have me within their company with the skill set that I did have. And at the time, I was working within a small team, so there was another designer and then a team leader, and the other designer was actually my best friend. And she'd been working at that company for 6 years, so for as long as I'd been working at the web development company for. And when they offered me the job, they actually offered me a higher salary than what she was on. And even though it was confidential, she found out and started bullying me because I'd been put on a higher salary. So I knew it wasn't fair. And I do understand where she came from, but I was in my late 20s, and I don't believe at any age that anybody should be bullied, no matter what the reason. So I ended up kind of being bullied by her. I really struggled to get the training that I needed for the job as well, because it was packaging design, there's different software that you need to use for that job. And after about 6 months with a new manager, I managed to get the training that I needed. And then once I had the training, the team leader still wouldn't let me work on any real design jobs.
Really?
Yeah, it was really horrible. And then I went to another manager that we had. So we had a temporary manager at the time, and a new manager came on to look after our department. And I went to him and told him I was being bullied, and he dismissed it completely. Yep. So he completely dismissed it, said it was just one of those accusations that flies around within the department all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I didn't feel like I was being listened to. And then because of the salary bracket that I was on, I was actually pulled to one side by the manager, and he told me that it wasn't right that somebody on a lower salary than me was teaching me what to do, even though they'd been working there for 6 years and I hadn't, and it wasn't my skill set. So I was a little bit disappointed with that, because I just thought they took me on for a reason because of my skill set that I had, and I didn't think that was right. And then I was also compared to other ladies within the company with 20 years worth of experience in packaging design, and I'd only been there for 6 months. So I ended up quitting because I didn't want to be bullied. I wasn't being listened to. HR didn't do anything to help me either. And actually, when they found out what the manager had said to me, because I was very honest with them in my exit kind of interview with them, they were really shocked actually that the manager had said those things to me, and they apologized on his behalf. But I couldn't be there anymore. It was an awful atmosphere. It's not a nice atmosphere to work in when you're belittled all the time. And I just thought, I'm in my late 20s. I'd had enough bullying when I was younger. I didn't want to be bullied anymore. So I just thought, I'm just going to break free and do my own thing and be good at it.
I'm really sorry to hear what you went through. I mean, that's probably one of the toughest things, especially when you spend so much time at work, right? Most of your best hours are spent at work, and to have this kind of an environment, I cannot even think about it. I suppose you had to have that to be able to get into your own and then discover, your entrepreneurship again, so to speak, like rediscover it. So that is at least something good came out of it, right?
Yes.
So
definitely some positives came out of it.
So maybe for the benefit of the viewers, you can talk a little bit about what exactly you do for the business, like in your branding business, and what are your future plans?
So I work specifically with female entrepreneurs just because I know what it's like to be one myself, and I can relate to a lot of all the other struggles that you've got to go through to run a home, if you've got children, pets, anything like that. I totally get it, and run a business as well. So I specialise in working with female entrepreneurs, and I specialise in a few areas in design as well. And what I actually do is I've got 12 years experience in the design industry. And I've worked with large blue chip organisations turning over a lot of money. And I've also worked with solopreneurs and sole traders as well. So I've got a real mixture of experience, and obviously in different industries as well. So what I like to do is I personally really like to get to know my clients really well. Because I like to create that connection and that relationship, because at the end of the day, their brand is about them and who they are as a person, what their values are. So it's really important to me to create those kind of connections. And then what I do is I've got different branding packages that I offer to my clients. So I've got a premium branding package, and I kind of go through, it's a real transformation. So it's about a 4 to 5 week transformation where basically I have a chat with the client first, then I get them to fill in quite an in-depth and thought-provoking client questionnaire. And then from there, I do a competitor analysis for them where I assess their competitors, see what threats that they pose to them, and then I identify any gaps that they could fill themselves to stand out in a really positive way. I then do brand strategy. So I mix a bit of brand strategy in with the graphic design that I do, because it's really important. And then I do a vision board and a colour palette. And then I do initial logo design ideas, develop those further once I get feedback from the client, and then supporting graphic design materials after that, whether it's social media banners, social media branded graphics, business card design, that kind of thing. So it's all within the one package. And basically it means that you can go from not having a brand at all to actually having a really good brand that you're really confident about, and it's professional, and you're happy with it, and it gives you clarity and direction to move forward.
And I can speak to that because I know I had a brand. Obviously, I teach my clients to bootstrap, and I try to walk the talk. And I was bootstrapping, but then I realized that I really wanted to serve only women, and then I thought that the brand was a complete disconnect with who I was. I was following you on Instagram, and I loved your work, and I reached out, and it was an amazing experience. And it's I got lucky because you are in the UK and I'm in Canada, and even though we have like a time zone difference, we made it work. We made the timings work. Yes. I'm sure you work with people, with women around the globe, so that shouldn't be a problem for you, right?
Yeah, I've got some clients in America. A lot of my clients are in the UK, but I am kind of reaching further afield now, which is really good.
And I know I'm going to be, linking all your social media and your website in the video, but where can people find you otherwise?
I would say I am on Instagram quite a lot, so you can find me Hollie Ellis Design on there. I also have a online community on Facebook as well called Bring Brand to Life, so I'm in there quite a lot as well, and I've got a lot of female entrepreneurs in that group. Actually, it's a really nice group. And then there's just my website as well, which is hollie-ellis.co.uk.
Okay, great. I'll be linking everything at the end of the video, so folks just watch out for that. It's not easy to start a business. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. And so maybe if you could share a few of yours that really stand out for you.
So I would say one of my big struggles to begin with, so the second time that I freelanced when I was made redundant, actually, one of my struggles was getting more clients and getting myself out there, because I'd just been made redundant, and I had about 3 or 4 clients from the company that I had worked at move over with me, but that wasn't enough. I needed more clients. So one of the things I did was I started looking at who I wanted to work with. So it wasn't female entrepreneurs then, it was just business owners. So it was really broad, and I decided I'm a startup, so I'll work with startups, because again, I can resonate with it. I know where they're coming from. And what I found was some of the jobs, because I'm freelance, some of the jobs that I got, I ended up working, I underestimated how long it would take for me to do those design jobs, basically. So I ended up working for a lot less money than I had originally quoted, and I didn't have a real plan at all. So when I went back into freelancing again this time round, I went in with it with a much clearer idea of who I wanted to work with, what I wanted to do. But like you say, I still had struggles. So one of my biggest struggles, which I came across last year, was cash flow. And at one point I had something like £1,600 outstanding at one point. So, and as a small business owner and a freelancer, it's quite damaging, and it damages your mindset as well. Absolutely. Quite a lot too. And all you do is I've learned that kind of concentrating on nobody paying their invoices just makes it worse. So I changed everything around my payment terms. So I started taking a bigger deposit. I changed my payment terms so that they were shorter, and I put a late payment fee in there as well if clients weren't paying their invoices on time, to stop them from doing that. And it improved my cash flow dramatically. Another struggle I had as well was last year, at the start of the year, I decided to put my prices up. And what I discovered was, previous to that, most of my clients had come from Facebook groups where I'd networked online in Facebook groups. So I didn't have any sales funnels. I didn't have anything like that in place. All I did was I networked, built up a good name for myself, and then I was tagged in on posts for recommendations. And what I found was, as soon as I put my prices up, I discovered that for the first 2 months, I had a lot of people come to me, inquire about design work, and then say I was either too expensive or they couldn't afford me at the time. So again, in terms of mindset, it was really bad for me, because I was pretty much sitting there going, what do? Do I put my prices back down again? So self-doubt started to creep in. Or do I stick to the new prices that I set for myself? So self-doubt kicked in. I brought my prices back down a little bit, and I started to get inquiries through after 2 months. So it was a struggle for the first 2 months massively. But then I changed one of my premium branding packages. I changed my offering within that as well to include more in there. And then I started to become fully booked again. And I've always been told, if you become fully booked, you need to start raising your prices again. So I've gradually started to raise my prices over the years, especially when I've become fully booked, which does happen at times. But that, I would say, that was one of the biggest struggles that I did have, because that whole self-doubt kicks in, and you just don't know what to do. And if you don't have a network of people, or if you don't have a coach, for example, to work with, then you just doubt yourself constantly. You don't know whether it's worth it. And then if you're not getting any business through the door, you wonder whether you should go back to working in a job again. So it's like, it's a big cycle of kind of negative talk to yourself, which is quite difficult to deal with at times.
Yeah, I totally understand the struggle and the negative chatter. It's all us. It's there, and we have to deal with it. I love what you said. So I particularly love that you mentioned, working with a coach and how that can help you. So maybe you could speak a little bit about that. Like, what prompted you to get a coach? Because I know you did. And how did that help you?
So what prompted me was the coach that I worked with. She did a 5-day challenge. I took part in that, and I saw the results straight away. And because I knew something needed to change, and because I knew that I needed help and support, I decided to work with a business coach. And it was mainly because what I found is, obviously it can be isolating. So I work at home with my business, and it can be isolating. And if you don't have that support network around you, which I do and I don't, in terms of, I've got friends and family, but I don't have a network of other female entrepreneurs who are all very motivated and driven like I am. So it's quite difficult to kind of move forward if you don't have that. So I wanted to have that. So I started working with the business coach, and I joined her mastermind, and everything changed completely. And it was more so to do with taking action, so actually saying what you're going to do and do it. And also the accountability as well is huge, because what I found was, so for the mastermind, we had a group call every other week, and then I had a separate call with the coach every other week as well. So I was continuously taking action. And what I kind of transformed everything. So I transformed, obviously, my cash flow issues. At the time, I was using spreadsheets to do all my bookkeeping, so it was taking me so much time to keep on top of those. So I started using QuickBooks to help me with that, and it's quickened the whole process completely. I didn't have any sales or marketing funnel in place at all. So I didn't have a freebie. I didn't have any kind of lead magnet at all. So I developed that. And I also rebranded my own business, actually, working with the business coach, because I discovered that when it comes to your dream customers, you want to be working with people you really, really want to work with. So I did a lot of work around dream customers, and I discovered that my dream customer at the beginning of freelancing 4 years ago is very different to the dream customer that I work with now. And I think you need to pivot with that. So I ended up rebranding my business completely. So I went through my whole branding process myself. And now I work with dream customers who are absolutely amazing. And it was just the accountability for me as well. And I made mindset shifts as well. So I had money blocks and probably self-sabotage in there too. And it cropped up actually at one point because I was meant to do something. I was actually meant to do a 5-day challenge, and I ended up not doing it. And the business coach pulled me up on it and said, you haven't done this, you haven't done that, you haven't done this, why haven't you done it? And I said to her at the time, I said, why would anybody listen to me? So, and it's that whole self-sabotage, that imposter syndrome thing. So, and she kind of made me realize that actually I'd been a bit stupid. And then with money blocks as well, I'd actually I started to offer payment plans, and then she made me realize that actually offering payment plans meant I was doing a lot of work for very little money. And I realized, actually, what am I doing? Because and it's that whole self-worth thing. So I realized I'm actually worth more than that. My skill, my expertise is worth more than that. So I stopped doing that as well. Went back to what I originally did. But she helped me loads, absolutely loads. And I know that if I hadn't worked with her, I wouldn't be where I am now, because she helped me so much.
You mentioned about a mastermind. So I know a lot of the viewers on this, who'll be watching this may not know what a mastermind is yet. So maybe if you could just say a couple of words about that.
Yeah. So Mastermind is basically where you get together with a group of women where the business coach is kind of hosting the mastermind. And what happens is you go on to group calls with each other. So ours was every other week we had a group call where all of us came onto Zoom together. And basically we looked at what we'd done over the last 2 weeks, so what actions we had taken. And then we basically said what was our struggle for that moment, or there and then, what was the thing that we were struggling with the most. And then the business coach would obviously give us advice, but then all the other ladies that were on the call would give you their advice and their opinions as well. And that was the thing, it's that whole support network.
It's a very powerful experience for sure.
Yeah.
And it really kind of puts your business on a much faster track. It accelerates it a lot more. If you could just give one piece of advice to people starting up, what would be your advice to them?
I would say keep going. So when the times get tough, or if you begin to doubt yourself and you don't think it's going to work out, just keep going. So always go back to why you're doing it and remind yourself of that as well, because you've got to have a powerful why as to why you've got your business, why you do what you do, why you want to help other people. So I would say just keep going back to your why, but just keep going and don't give up.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. It was a lot of great information about, especially around your struggles, etc. Because I think all that you spoke about was what I have been through as well. And I still go through as I'm starting another new kind of branch of my business. So I think there will be a lot of people who can relate to this. And for all the viewers, I hope that you look her up. And please make sure that you let her know that you watched the video and you really got value from it. So yeah, and maybe join some of her, Facebook groups and follow her on Instagram. She posts a lot of good stuff, and that's how I found her. So thank you again, Hollie, and I'll talk to you soon.